Hey guys, Toolman Tim back here. Welcome back to the workshop where we build business, create community, find freedom, and share success. It's an absolutely gorgeous Saturday, and you know what that means. Time for another edition of our ODYSEE exclusive weekend workshop. So a couple of weeks ago, a lot of you guys south of the border dealt with some serious power outages, some serious issues with cold, freezing, the whole works. I just picked up a new generator and I'm going to do a review on that guy pretty soon, but I thought before that, I was listening to Nicole Sauce's Living Free in Tennessee podcast the other day, and she was talking about routine generator maintenance. And I had an old video that was rather poor quality and the generator ran the entire time, and I thought, you know what, it's time I redid my generator maintenance video. So I'm just going to run through what I normally do, how I keep it running tip top and the whole works, and yeah, keep going from there. So the biggest thing I have found is, and I'm sure everybody's heard this, is regular running. I try to do it every quarter, every 3 months, but every 2 months is better. That's kind of the sweet spot I found, that if I take half an hour to an hour once every 2 months and I go roll my generators out into the pad in front of my garage and I run them, then when I need them, they start. But if I wait 3 or 4 months and I come out here, there's a good chance I'm going to give myself a good case of tennis elbow pulling on that pull start, getting it going. So to me, honestly, the absolute most important thing to do besides any other routine maintenance is running that bugger at least once every 3 months and once every 2 months. I keep a journal in a notepad on my phone and I start it up. Then I let it run. I only add maybe a quart of gas or so because I want it to run empty. I add a dash of seafoam, which I have right over here. Is my absolute magic go-to product that I use for a lot of stuff. It's a beautiful fuel stabilizer and it's a beautiful carb cleaner and it's a beautiful engine lubricator. So I add an official amount of a glug or two to the quart of gas to the generator and I let it run through. I let it run, warm up, get up, that it's running comfortably with no load on, and then I go through and I run with a load. So I check every single plug that I have something I can plug into. And I put something heavy on it, like a power tool, or usually a power tool. That's usually the easiest thing because I grab whatever I happen to have around the shop. I used to use a lamp, which told me I had power to the circuit, but it never really told me if it was working hard or not. So I thought, I'd use a jigsaw or a circular saw, something like that, to put a load under it. So number one, you run it on a regular basis, put seafoam through it, and then run it with a load once it's warmed up. And then I let it run out of gas. Listen to Derek Bonpietro on the Expert Council, and he says, storing stuff like that, let it run out of gas. There's no chance there's any skunky old gas in it. And then if you're doing this every 2 or 3 months, you're golden. What do I keep on hand for emergencies? Because there's always something that can go wrong. Number one is my carb cleaner, my seafoam. Absolutely top-notch, the best stuff. You run that through with every tank of gas or every time you put a little bit of fuel in your generator, and it's going to keep your carb really clean. If you're adventurous, keep a carb kit on hand and learn how to rebuild your carb before you need to. Because, like I said, the only time something breaks down is when you need it, because you're not using it any other time. But honestly, rebuilding a carb isn't nearly as hard as you think it is. Keep a can of brake cleaner on hand or some kind of solvent you can soak things in, and learn how to replace the valves or the little springs and the rubbers in there, and that's it. But you know what? That is more than you probably need. Most people, and including myself for a long time, I kept a spark plug on hand because you always want to have a spark plug or two. Keep enough oil on hand that you can do an oil change or two, and keep an extra air filter on hand. If it's the foam style air filters, give it a good wash with dish soap and then lube it up just a little bit with some motor oil. Clean motor oil is better, but if you only got used, go for that as well. If you want to get into it, you can inspect that spark plug every 2 months. But honestly, what I do, I run it for a year. Whether I've even used it other than the occasional maintenance, I take that spark plug out, throw it in a drawer, and put a new one in every single year. Learn how to change your oil, get a nice long-necked funnel that works, and do that. If yours has an oil filter, keep a couple of those on hand as well. $40 worth of parts, could save you from having a really, really, really nasty time when the weather gets cold. If your generator has a electric start, that battery is going to need to be topped up. So the best way you can get is buy a battery tender, battery minder, trickle charger, whatever the heck you want to call it. And what I do is I just wire it right in. So it normally has, positive and negative. You can just take your bolts out, bolt them in with it, and then it usually leaves you a little plug that comes with it, like a detachable one, so you can just tie that up inside. Or if you want to, you can leave it plugged in all the time because it's smart enough that it turns on, turns off. But that's the best way to make sure you have a fresh battery. So yeah, air filter, spark plug, seafoam, carb kit, oil, and an oil filter if you need it. And that is all you need to keep on hand. If you've got a dual fuel generator or a tri-fuel like the one I just picked up, make sure you run both. Run your gasoline one and then run one of your gases, whether it's natural gas or propane. I usually just do propane because I don't have natural gas hookup out in the garage. But just run them both, test them, make sure everything's working. Because if it's working now, it's going to be way, way easier than being outside in sleet and freezing rain and cussing and swearing and wishing you had that ran a month ago so that you know that you're going to be able to heat your house or heat your hot water or cook your food or whatever it is you need. And don't forget having 2 is 1, 1 is none, 3 is a guarantee. Ask my wife. I have 3 generators. Every time I buy a new one, I say I'm going to sell the old one. I never sell it, between you and me, but she knows. Also, I have an 800-watt inverter that you can run off your truck, so if this thing dies, you can absolutely run quite a bit of stuff off an 800-watt generator. So, redundancy is absolutely important. Beyond that, that's really it. You just want to make sure that you can absolutely rely on that bugger when you need it. And it's not hard, Keep a list of when you do it so that you don't forget. Maybe add it to your calendar, whatever. But run it regularly. Keep your parts on hand. Use semi-fresh gas. Don't let it sit more than a year. Put stabilizer in it. That's about it. So if you got any questions, leave them in the comments below. I love it. Seeing actual community be built in those comments where other people interact with other people. It's awesome. Thank you so much. If you got a minute, run by toolmantim.co. That's toolmantim.co. Check out everything I have to offer. If you want to follow me on some of the social medias, great. I would absolutely appreciate that. I try to share things of value every single day. And we are getting very, very, very close to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So please take a minute and go over there and subscribe, even if you watch everything I do on ODYSEE. That would be a huge way to support me that costs you nothing. And go to toolmantim.shop and do your Amazon shopping from there. Anything you buy in the next 24 hours from when you go there, I will get a small percentage, and it costs you literally nothing. And it's exactly the same process of buying anything you need. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. Have a great week. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy. Oh yeah, and have a great week.